Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the multidimensional MD, and my mission is to help raise the bar of health and bring back the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways. Today, I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Dr. Shawn Marie Higgins, and we are both on faculty with the Osteopathic Cranial Academy, and we work so much with the body's rhythms and how that can bringing that into balance, getting the rhythms in tune and in balance with each other really helps you feel more whole and healthy. So today we're going to talk about sound healing and how that applies to you. Dr. Higgins is going to talk about her first experience with sound healing, why now, especially in these chaotic times, is a really great time to bring sound healing into your life, how the body has rhythm and is music, and ways you can harmonize your body's music with nature. So, welcome, Shawn. I'm so
Thank
happy to have you
you,
here.
Dr. Arlene. Thank you so much for having me back.
I'm going to have you just tell us about your background a little bit more. I know I've learned so much about sound healing from you, and you're also an osteopath. And so you've integrated this into your life, into your practice in so many great ways.
Yeah, so I'm an osteopathic physician in Portland, Maine area, and I integrated sound into my practice many years ago. And at first, I had practiced them kind of separately, not really realizing that they went together. I didn't know how to integrate them.
Mhm.
And then the more that I develop these classes that I give and the teaching that I do in the Cranial Academy, for the Osteopathic Cranial Academy, and for sound healing over the years, I realized that sound healing already is osteopathic. And so that was a really great realization. But I love that I practiced them both kind of independently because it was
Mhm.
such an authentic practice, not trying to make it anything it wasn't, and being okay with it not being a part of my career because of not only my love for sound and vibration, but the fact that it really just works.
But
Um, yeah.
oh, I was going to ask you, um, how do you feel that sound healing applies to people? Because I know you said it applies to everyone.
It applies to everyone. And if you think about what sound is, it's a range of frequency or vibration that we can pick up with the ears that is then transferred to the brain that we interpret as a sound. But there are many frequencies and vibrations not in that range, but they're still the same types of wavelengths in the air. So everything is really sound, everything is vibration, everything is frequency. And if you break everything down into its smallest parts, including the human body, breaking it down into cells and then molecules and then atoms, and then the little parts that make up atoms, everything, matter, even emotions and things, which is a little bit more advanced, and we get into that in my class, but everything actually exists at its finest level of construction as the same thing, which is ultimately subatomic particles, which are energy and empty space. So then you have the condensation of empty space, which actually gives you matter. And again, the kind of science, like the intricate science behind that, I go over in the class. But everybody is vibration, and vibration is always oscillating in a wave like fashion, just like sound waves. So, sound is vibration, everything is vibration. Sound is simply what we can hear, and the
Mhm.
human hearing range varies from other species. So, what is sound is different to us, is different to, like, your pet, like a cat, for instance. I think their hearing is magnified at least by 10, or maybe that's their vision. But anyway, their vision and their capability to pick up environmental vibration in the way of vision and hearing, sound, sight,
Mhm.
color is so much more expanded than ours.
Right. Yes, and
So,
animals have different range of hearing, so,
yeah,
I know, like, elephants can hear such really, like, low pitch sounds that we can't hear, and they have their own language in with sound and vibration where they
yeah.
speak to each other.
I love that you just said that. Whales are the same, very low. But I always say vibration is the universal language because it's vibration that we're really sensing, whether it's movement, sound,
Mhm.
vision,
Mhm.
something touching us, it's movement, right? And any sound that you make is really movement. Think about it. Anything you hear is movement, creating oscillation of air particles, which is what's hitting your eardrum, getting transferred to your brain as sound. So we're really picking up movement, motion, which is really life. Life
Yes.
is motion.
Yes.
We're all living,
Uh-huh.
breathing examples of sound in different frequencies, some of them audible, some of them not. But that's how I look at sound. It's vibration. And we're living in a world of vibration. And that's how everyone can use this information. And we already know it. Our cells know it because they're picking up vibrations from the environment and working in our favor. We don't even know it
Uh-huh.
all the time. The only thing that varies from that is our mind and what we think and our beliefs.
I love how you said that life is movement because I talk about that all the time. Just treating people as a cranial osteopath, we see the stuck areas and we help create more movement and flow so that people you have like your breathing is better, your mind can think more clearly, and you just feel more relaxed and calm and in the flow of life too. So that movement in life is really key. Tell me about your first experience with sound healing.
Um, my first experience with sound healing was quite a mess, actually. I, of course, was using it in my practice with tuning forks that I'd had there all ready to test hearing. And I'd been interested in it because I have a lot of musician friends and I'm a musician. So I Googled, sound healing classes. And of course, I came across world renowned John Boyu, who I went to the first class many years ago. And I was so excited I was able to get into the class. And I went there really gung ho, just knowing I was going to come back with all kinds of skills and ways to heal people with sound healing techniques. It was a 3-day class. We sort of camped out in his yard at his house and everything. And I went to the class and I found myself feeling really anxious and kind of not good the whole time I was there. I just kind of felt I needed to kind of break out and I was uncomfortable. I was cold. I couldn't sleep well. I had an anxiety attack. And I was like, wow, I'm
Mm,
being surrounded by all these loving people who I loved. John and his wife, Thea, I loved. The only thing that was off was my vibration. I was like, what is happening to me? I just feel like I have to go home. But I stuck it out. I did the whole class. We had a lot of sound immersion. We had a lot of sound instrumental practice on each other,
mhm,
healing others and having others heal us. We
mhm,
had performances in the evenings that were sound baths and instrumentals where we were being healed and immersed in gongs and sound bowls and tuning forks and all kinds of things and just each other's energy.
mhm,
And so finally it ended, and I was one of the last people to leave because I had really made great contacts with John Boyu. And when I was driving home, I just couldn't wait to get out of there. I was like, wow, I just can't wait to get home. And I had a 7-hour ride home. About 20 minutes into my ride, something switched in my energy field, and I just started crying tears of joy. And I realized that that was the best experience I'd ever had in my life. And what was happening was while I was there, my by being actually immersed in the sound and the energy of healing, the vibration of healing, my frequency, my overall body collective frequency was changing. And when frequencies change, they can't just go from like a jog to a run. When frequencies change, they stop, reorganize, and then reorganize again at the higher pattern. What was happening is my frequency was elevating and it had to kind of have some chaos in order to reorganize at a higher level. And that was the dissonance that I was feeling and the discomfort that I was feeling while I was changing my vibration. And I realized that even though I did take skills home, I did learn a lot of things about sound that I wrote down in my journal, in my notebook. But what I learned most was in the cells. The cells learned the wisdom of the experience that then changed my cells and then reorganized the whole vibration of my body, my organ function, my brain wave frequency states, which I talk a lot about in the class, because we have a direct line of of communication to nature
Mhm.
through consciousness. And
Mhm.
that's what I open up in my class, which is what we need to be doing now, right now, during this time of kind of chaos in the world. The world is also restructuring.
Yeah.
Chaos comes before the new frequency. So I just like to give hope to everybody that all the dissonance and chaos and kind of crumbling of society and the fragmenting of all these different organizations and groups in the world really means that we're reorganizing as a species, and out of this will come really good things. But to get on the bandwagon, I don't know if it's on or
Mhm.
off. That's good. Anyway, the analogy, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Um,
Which brings us to, like, why it's
yeah,
now is a time that I know you feel some kind of urgency for
yeah.
people to bring this awareness and bring awareness of sound and healing
Mhm.
into our lives now.
Yes, because we have, as a species, we've turned too far away from nature as a whole
Mhm.
to look for ways to advance in technology, ways to advance in personality and social structures and things like that. And I think we need to come back to nature. And like I said before, frequency and vibration is the universal language.
Mhm.
The human species has tested itself time and time again on its ability to solve conflict through reason and opinion. And please listen to me. This is my opinion. This is my politics. This is my religion. This is my view. This is all done on the ego conscious level that no longer works for our species. We need to be going past opinion into the higher frequency of love. Just like mantra, when you sound or tone kirtan, mantra, all kinds of different call and response, ancient healing vocal techniques, you're usually voicing a musical scale that has something like between 7 and 12 tones. And each tone is matched to a word. And each word is very simple, like patience, continuing, love. I
Mm.
mean, these are the like 12 words can define all of
Oh, wow.
existence.
What's the tone of love?
Well, it varies among scale, musical scale.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be able to say. However, you could match like the ancient Sanskrit word with whatever tone or half tone is matched with that in that practice. And
Uh-huh.
what you're doing is it's the relationship. Is you're matching the word which embodies the tone. So the word is the tone in language form. And it's
Okay.
sort of like this a lock and a key. They fit together and open up doorways. But really, these are seed words. And what I would like to, and they're vibrations. And so being human and being ego conscious, which separates us or it distinguishes us from other species, that's a good thing. We need
Uh-huh.
that.
Uh-huh.
However, we have the ability to deliberately use our advanced consciousness to create deliberately good things. And the way to do that is through vibration, meaning, let's say we have two different opinions about, let's bring it up, COVID. I think we should do this, and I think we should do this. And they're two different political parties, two different opinions. But if you think about it, most people on earth are not psychopaths. There are a few, but most people really believe what they believe because they think it's good for everyone. So if we transcended opinion and went to the fact that that person means well, the vibration of well or good or love is higher than individual opinion. And that's the language of vibration.
Mm.
And that's the direct line of communication we have with consciousness
So
through emotion and through nature. Nature is the yardstick for vibration. We only need to look to nature to figure out what to do. And it may not give us a word or a sentence or instructions, but it will give us a feeling.
that's so interesting because I talk about envisioning or imagining the new world together, like one of more love and peace. But you're saying that we can also sound a new world together, and that's the sound of our vibration, the sound of the words we use, of how we speak to people, and what we're emanating, what the intention behind that is as well. And I love this. What we're already talking about is, how the body has rhythm and music and is music. And you're a musician, and we already talked about like how cranial osteopathy, we feel the rhythms in the body, and it's so beautiful. So can you just share us more of your perspective on that?
Yeah, and this will actually run into the last thing you just said about imagining, because I go into a lot of, like I was saying, the we have a direct line of consciousness of
Uh-huh.
communication through consciousness, which happens through the brain. So, imagination and visualization are two parts of the brain that we engage while awakening certain brainwave frequency states. And that's in the class, that instructions on how to do this, or at least a template of that, is that
Mhm.
we actually engage the workings of imagination and visualization, which are two different things activated in two different areas of the brain, which are actually the frequencies that are in direct communication with nature.
And
And
I wanna clarify, this is a love consciousness, so this is like a
yes,
consciousness centered, actually heart-centered, but connected with the brain
and nature.
and
Yeah.
nature.
So
Yes.
if we are like, for instance, well, I don't want to get too much into things, but the frequency of the Earth's atmosphere, it varies, but it's around 7.8 to 8.2 hertz, or cycles per second. This
Uh-huh.
is very close, and exactly actually, to the brainwave frequency states where we're at our most creative
Ah,
and
love
active
that.
height. So
Yeah.
this says, I explain this all out in my
So
class.
literally getting into the flow of our nature.
We are literally, yeah, and this is brand new information. It's not any literature, and it's
Right.
in my book, and it's
Yes.
also in my class. And I've been like intuiting and channeling information about how this is actually our way to communicate now. And I explain how that's done, the science behind it, and if there's the body is directly in tune with nature. I mean, we even have a little internal clock that sits right beside the pituitary gland in the brain,
Uh-huh.
the
Uh-huh.
suprachiasma, chiasma. It's right under the optic chiasm. It's the suprachiasm, which actually runs the internal clock, and there's a genetic component to that, so that we're all individual, but we're sort of in the same sort of range. So, um, I almost titled my class, which is the title of my book, which is called Imagine Nation, because it's through imagination that we need to work with everything right now. And the actual science of it, the anatomy of it, the exact way to do it is all in there. And
Uh-huh.
it's the new way of
Yes.
living. You can actually
Yeah.
live going into alpha brainwave state all through your day. And this has been tried and tested as well in other ways by other genius minds.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like I'm bringing something completely new. It's just surfacing now, and I'm channeling some new information about it. But Jose Silva and some of the
Mhm.
military experiments have been working with accessing alpha, theta, delta, all these different brainwave states for decades. And
Uh-huh.
there's actually classes on it, and people who are like certified in it, and there are books about it. And, this is something that really works. It's been tried and tested. We can get there.
Yes.
Just taking it further with the information that I have.
Well, that
Which
imagination is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Um, it's yes, and just like, again, it's not just a visual imagination, it's more of a multisensory kind of imagination, and so you're
yeah,
just expanding on the vibrations that you're using to imagine the world together.
yeah, to imagine nations of peace. And if you think about it,
That is so important.
yeah, if you think about, or at least my thinking is that survival of the fittest, either there's a new way of thinking about
Uh-huh.
things, or we're evolving consciously, because it seems to me that it's survival of the most cooperative.
Right.
And
Yes.
when I say the answer is unity,
Uh-huh.
I mean not that we're all going to come and be one, but that we all cooperate with each other.
That's the oneness, the love
That's
consciousness.
the oneness.
Yeah.
But our individuality makes it possible for us to activate the action of cooperation. So being so different is what gives us the opportunity to be better. And that tolerance, that forgiveness, that cooperation, that is where it's at. And I think our species would
Mhm.
do better with cooperation, not with who's the biggest, who's the
Mhm.
best, who's the richest, who's the strongest,
And
who's the most cooperative.
if we wanna live in peace, then we need to be peace first, so that will start with the imagination. So
And
that's
yeah,
a great
and
message.
how I bring it up
Yeah.
in the class is to start with normal consciousness.
Uh-huh.
Start with where you are in your backyard and with your family.
This
And
is
with
such an expanded view of sound healing because you're
yeah,
involving that awareness and consciousness.
yeah.
And so before we leave, then you know, people always wanna know, like, what they can do, and you had mentioned ways to harmonize your body's music with nature and how nature the vibration of nature is our natural vibration. So, what are some simple things that people could do even before they've gone to a class in sound healing, like how could they go ahead and start incorporating this into their lives?
Well, nature's the way. Again, it's the yardstick of vibration. And our bodies, whether we know it or not, are entraining to frequencies around us at every moment, every millisecond, every moment of our lives. We're always in training, which means that two vibrations in close proximity to each other will assume a common vibration.
Mm,
The stronger vibration will entrain the weaker. My class goes over the three strongest vibrations, the most stable vibrations in nature, always entraining us. So you are always being entrained to the most stable, good vibration. However, when you feel bad, what you're feeling is your resistance to doing that. So here's how I can say to start the process of
mhm,
entrainment is first of all, notice when you're feeling dissonant, when you're
mhm,
feeling depressed, anxious, or you're not feeling
yeah,
good. Go out in nature and surrender what you just felt. Let's say I woke up this morning feeling really anxious. I'm like, why? Why am I feeling anxious? I feel stressed. So I embrace that feeling and say, I surrender to this feeling, let it wash over me. And then I look at something in nature out a window, or I go out in the backyard, or just take a walk outside of the office building, feel the air cleansing my face. That's nature. You can be in Manhattan and nature is still a more stable frequency than anything in the whole city combined. And just say, allow this element of nature to cleanse that feeling. I surrender
uh-huh.
to it. And just allow yourself to be entrained with the vibration of nature. And you can just even say, I allow myself to harmonize with nature. And you don't have to understand it, you just say it and surrender to it, and it will happen because I'm telling you, it's happening anyway. Whether you
Love
know it
that.
or not, you can
Yes,
consciously activate
and if you say it, you're using your vibration
your
of
vocal
intent, your
vibration.
vocal vibration, and training with the vibration of nature, and I love that. When I was in Massachusetts last week, then I would go on these nature walks, and I always tell people I just put my back against a tree or hug a tree, but I also found this really giant rock, and just putting my hands on it or sitting on it felt so grounding. And it felt like how no matter how you felt, this rock could handle it because it could ground any emotion and bring you more towards that feel good balance, kind of love state, and just let yourself be. So yeah, but I love how
That's
you're
beautiful.
combining things.
I love that. That's such a great example. Like, even just literally, like in trees too.
Mhm.
I mean, even after we cut them down, they're still useful, right? I
Yeah,
mean, they're
they
you
teach
know,
us so much. I know, the rocks and the trees, they teach us so much patience too because they're always being, always. They're never trying to be something else, and so they teach us how to be as well. Well, this has been so great, Shawn. I every time I talk to you, I learn something new, and I know some of these things you've told me before, and then I forgot, and then I hear them again, and it's just like such a great reminder of how to be in the world. I know you have an upcoming class, which is amazing. I took your first class, and I would just want you to share with people how they can connect with you, how they can find out more about sound healing, about your classes and workshops and YouTube.
Yeah. Um, I am, my website has the class information and it's osteopathic well.
I'm going to type that in here for people.
Yep,
Osteopathic well.
.com. And right on the first homepage, you'll see classes and you can click on the one that's happening at the end of August. It's 3 days, it's 4 hours a day. It's called the Harmony Within. And we really do go over how the body is rhythm, how it is aligned to the rhythm of not only the earth, but the cosmos, the planets. And
Uh-huh.
we were created in this rhythm, which is in our brains, it's in our genes.
And who can go to that class? Is it for physicians? Is it for healthcare? Or is it just if it's for anybody? Do you need a music background? Like, what are there any prerequisites?
No prerequisites, not at all. It is approved for full category 1A osteopathic and MD credits for
Oh, wow.
doctors.
Uh-huh.
For continuing medical education, it's approved for 12 hours of formal CME for doctors.
Mhm.
I've had other healthcare professionals like chiropractors and nurses, therapists, um, of all kinds of different like healthcare professionals have had it actually get approved for CEs too,
Uh-huh.
or CEUs or
Uh-huh.
CEUs. All different kinds of healthcare professionals can get this translated. You will get a certificate of completion at the end, which is signed by the American Osteopathic Association, which is it sponsors it. And but anyone
You
can take
don't have to be medical to take it.
it. Don't. And actually, I have a woman hoping to take it, and she homeschools her two children, and she's going to have her two children take it because have you ever seen that show, Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Well, I'm not, for one. If we can understand quantum physics, I'm telling you, your kids need to be learning this. I can remember being in seventh grade or sixth grade or something. I was in middle school anyway, and we were in science class. I remember my science teacher showing us E equals MC squared in our
Uh-huh.
science. And he goes, "Yep, that was Albert Einstein." Then he turned the page. And I'm thinking, if that really means what he just said it meant, why do we even have another page to turn? Why do we go to lunch? What like we learn what E equals MC squared means quickly, and then we turn the page. What it
Not
means
doing
is matter is energy is matter, and that we we can you know
I had that experience in high school because I read, Albert Einstein's, like, yeah, Theory on Relativity, just the
yeah,
small book for regular people, and
yeah.
I wondered that too. I was like, "If this is true, how come
Mhm.
we're not exploring it more or wondering what that is?"
Yeah,
But it's a lot to take in,
yeah.
and, now the question with your course, do you get tuning forks with it? Do you buy tuning forks? Like
For this next class, it you don't need any tuning forks at all. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
record the tones, but we're going to learn how to use the body as we are going to learn the music of the body with the music of nature. We already have music. We already are music,
I love
and
that.
we are going to recognize, not create, but we're going to
So
recognize
your body as an
the
instrument,
music
tuning it and getting
literally.
in
And I
rhythm.
actually yes, and actually I had good news recently, which is finally my chapter, which is in an integrative medical textbook, the clinical nutrition uh, and integrative medicine. My chapter, which is titled "The Human Body: A
Uh-huh.
Biological Sound Healing Instrument,"
That's
that
amazing.
it's finally went to production.
So
So
when will that be out?
we should see it published this year, hopefully.
Oh, great.
Um, as long as there aren't any backups in the printing world.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
But it's in production. It's going through the stages of publication right now, and it's actually the topic is that the human body is a biological sound healing instrument.
Uh-huh.
We already are music. I'm going to show you how to deliberately harness how to deliberately make the music you want for your life. And a lot of that is body rhythms. um, and physiology and it's in osteopathy in different words,
Mhm.
and in the brain. And
Mhm.
it's a lot about consciousness and
Mhm.
brainwave
Mhm.
states, like you've never been put in literature before, and it's new stuff. Again, on my next book called Imagine Nation, is not in publication yet, but that's going to be more of this. The title might be changed as well, but
Ama
just to let
amazing.
you know,
Yes, if anyone wants to learn more about the course that's upcoming in August, what are the dates for that course?
the 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Then you can go to osteopathicwell.com and sign up there. I hope to be there too as well. Thank you, Shawn. It is always great to be here with you. And if anyone has any questions in general for Shawn about sound healing, about her upcoming course, about consciousness and sound, just things you're wondering about, then just leave a comment down below and we'll see if we can get back to you. And
Absolutely, I'm happy to answer any questions.
yeah, and please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. You can follow me on Instagram at All World Health, on Facebook at All World Health and Pediatrics, and sign up
I
for my
follow her. She's amazing.
and
Absolutely amazing.
thank you. And if you haven't signed up for the e-love letter, I send that out once a week on Wednesdays. And you can do that at allworldhealth.com. And Shawn, are there any places besides your website you would like people to connect with you?
That's the best place.
Okay.
But you can also find my classes on the Osteopathic Cranial Academy site,
Uh-huh.
American Osteopathic Association, and the Maine Osteopathic Association. But to connect with me, the website that you see right there is the best way. I get email really quickly and I check it a lot, so I will get back to people. I love connecting with real people. If anyone who's actually done that and talked to me knows that's a sincere statement.
Thank you, Shawn. I'm so glad we got together today and could talk about this more. And I can't wait to hear more about what's coming up later in the year. And then we'll get together again and talk about that as well. So thanks everyone for being here with us. So much love to you. And I will see you next week on another episode of the Multidimensional MD, 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Thank you.
Bye.